Martin Popoff from the Contrarians here. It is December 4th, 2025, and Guns N' Roses have dropped two new songs. We've got a review here of the two new Guns N' Roses songs. Wow. What do I think of these? Quite baffling what these guys are up to. So let's just give you a little bit of news first. So, I mean, obviously, they're working their way towards an album. Guns N' Roses are very much alive. They got a pile of dates planned for spring and summer of 2026, basically from April through to September. They are completely touring. The band is Axel, Duff, and Slash. And then we've got Dizzy Reed on keyboards. We've got Melissa Reese on keyboards. Richard Fortis rhythm guitar, Isaac Carpenter on drums. Now, these two songs, they're called Nothin and Atlas. They're both medium length, nothing too crazy long. And so Nothin. So let's start with this one. Let's start with a general statement, first of all. This band has transcended being heavy metal or hair metal or even rootsy 70s metal. They've transcended any sort of ties to Aerosmith that they had. What they haven't transcended is being very creative and being able to do anything. And I think you really get that with a lot of these new songs that have happened. You get it with Chinese Democracy as well. So both of these songs defy expectations. Let's start with Nothin. So this one starts out, you get these strange clavinet style keyboards, a little bit of spacey guitar. You get this dirty little hip hop beat starting out, kind of distorted drums. Axel is singing very plaintively. So yeah, you're thinking this is really off the wall and maybe something that the Guns N' Roses fans absolutely don't want. But then it does pick up and it turns into sort of heroic stadium rock power ballad vibe. And you get that great Slash guitar sound coming in. That's one of the great things about this guy. I mean, his sound is it is very traditional. He's a traditional player, but what we love about him is you get this sense that he's strangling the guitar and you get this very kind of corrosive sound out of him. It's not as much of a strangle as a Zakk Wylde, but it's kind of in that same ballpark. I kind of get that out of Heavy Brian May as well. But yeah, unmistakable sound in there. So the band comes in, you get that, and you get these weird melancholy chords that you've got these sophisticated chord changes in this song, which are really nice to hear. And again, you know, Guns N' Roses, I guess they deserve a lot of the hails of greatness that they have. We've done that strange whimsical episode here about 10 different ways to count how many Guns N' Roses albums they are. And what I meant, the point of that episode is this band has actually made quite a bit of music. I mean, the most cynical out of anybody there, if you're a Guns N' Roses hater, you'll say, oh, they only made one good album. But they made lots and lots of music, really, when you add it all up. But they just break the rules all the time, and it's in little bits and pieces. It's still in little bits and pieces, right, with these two new songs. You've got the guitar solo over that mellow music comes back. So it's not like they're abandoning that strange melancholy clavinetti sort of feel. But then the solos kind of got an A and a B part. It starts over that mellow music and then it picks up over this powerful music. So you're going back to your Estranged and November Rain sort of heroic power ballad vibe. It's kind of a mix between Beatlesque and Elton John-esque, but generally speaking, it's a full band noisy song, right? You got you got this break with these Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix sort of chords that just happens for a brief moment, and then it's back into another verse, and then you've got the big finish on it. So I don't know what the fans are going to think of this song. I just love seeing how creative this band is, and I think that's one of the great things about Axel is that he just wants to put out what he wants to put out at his pace. We obviously don't get a lot of albums. We get a lot of time between music. And then stuff happens where he's just, we are what we are. We are not that first album. We are not 3/4 of what you get on the two Use Your Illusion albums either. This band has definitely been evolving. So Atlas, what do you get with Atlas? So it's almost more confounding. yet it's probably the song that would be more accepted by the fans. So it starts out with this sort of tribal drumming. You got a lot of texture. You do get Slash's guitar sound in there. Again, super interesting chords. Then it breaks into this very slightly but very sophisticated, and just for a brief moment, and not completely Egypto Zeppelin-esque, but it's a type of Zeppelin-esque, where you also get a little bit of acoustic layering in there. But it's noisy, it's psychedelic. Again, you know how I always talk about, Beatles did everything, right? So when I talk about this sort of psychedelic thing that a lot of the hair metal bands did in the 90s, Dokken did it, Def Leppard did it with Slang. I always say it's when they're being Beatles-esque with their psychedelic, it's the Norwegian wood kind of thing, right? So there's a little bit of the Norwegian wood feel to this, but then there's this odd transition, and it's basically a modulation to the most bizarre kind of new passage of music, which kind of lasts. It persists through to the end of the song. The song's only 3:58 long, but it's very confounding, mathematical, sophisticated chord changes. Hard to put your put your ear down on understanding what the melody they're doing with this song is. It's funny. I look at the press notes on this, and it almost apologized for the first song by saying this is the heavy Guns N' Roses song, but it's not. It's just as odd as the first one. And these chord changes just keep slipping and sliding all throughout the song until we get to the end. So it's almost like they're learning something from going to that Black Sabbath thing, or studying up on their Black Sabbath songs, where the song structure is just so unconventional. But so this one has a lot of that, just kind of moving through the parts. Rather, it's less conventional. Put it that way. It's less conventional than Nothin when it comes to the parts, but it's more unconventional when it comes to what the heck kind of music is this. Even though it is all conventional, loud guitar, bass, and drums. The last thing I want to mention is it's got an absolutely stonking, really cool, powerful bass sound out of Duff on here. He's almost like learned something from the Slash guitar sound and applied it to his bass sound. So that's kind of a cool thing you get in here as well. So absolutely two songs that provide a lot of food for thought here. This is not Motley Crue new tattoo territory here. This is really interesting, different, has nothing to do with hair metal, has nothing to do with heavy metal, has a lot to do with the chemistry of the Guns N' Roses guys. But it's way off on a creative tangent that, frankly, I don't think Duff and Slash particularly have in them. I think this comes from Axl, being this strange with what they do. So super intriguing sounds here. When I say that it doesn't come from Duff and Slash, what I mean is that those guys are great musicologists themselves, but they like more traditional songs. These are both much closer to Chinese democracy type songs. So it's like Axl is bringing them on this creative journey. And I have a feeling that these guys, being such sophisticated music heads as they are, can't help but be inspired by seeing how fearlessly creative Axl is being, and they're probably loving this trip and realizing that this is kind of the good way to go. So yeah, this follows what was that other one called? The General. I mean, it follows upon some pretty interesting different music, and it's going to make for a pretty strange album that, again, is going to it's easy to see why there's going to be a lot of love it, hate it stuff going on with that Guns N' Roses album. When it happens, there's going to be a lot of admiration, but some of that admiration is going to be wary admiration because the new Guns N' Roses ain't the old Guns N' Roses. Talk to you later.